Hi, this is Michael Gleed with Village Mortgage. If you're joining me today, you're probably curious about this new self-employed niche we told you about. So let's get into it. So this self-employed niche has to do with the availability of a new program. It's called our bank statement program. It's a non-traditional mortgage available to self-employed individuals. So what we're going to do is just kind of overview. We're going to talk about what it is and who is it for. We're going to talk about the difference between these non-traditional mortgages like this bank statement program and subprime mortgages from 2008. And then we're going to talk about about three niches that are available if you use this program that pretty much no one is going after. So let's get into it. So who does this apply to? Well, let's tell a little story. We've got the husband and wife. They jump on the internet and they're looking for that perfect home. They're on Zillow. They find that $450,000 home that they love. So they go into their bank. And they feel very confident because they know that they're self-employed and they make good money, maybe $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month that's coming into their bank account. So the bank says, well, let me see your tax returns. They pull out their tax returns and the bank says, okay, well, it looks like you reported $100,000 in revenue, but you wrote off $75,000. And so basically, according to the IRS, you are making about $25,000 a year. That is not enough to qualify for a $450,000 home. So they leave kind of dejected and they just think that they're going to rent forever, essentially. Because a lot of times, self-employed individuals are not going to want to start paying taxes, honestly, because their business is already acclimated to not paying taxes as far as them paying personal taxes on the revenue that they make. Because going from paying nothing to $15,000 in taxes is not something that I've had conversations with self-employed individuals and they don't like the idea. So what's the alternative? Well, the alternative is using bank statements as income. This program, the bank statement program, is for self-employed individuals only. We can use 12 to 24 months of personal or business bank statements. Up to 90% loan to value with no MI, 10% down, no tax returns required. It's a great program. Let's take a quick scenario here. I had an individual that made $100,000 a year, had a great credit score, but he wrote off too much. He was trying to qualify for that $300,000 house, and we were able, using bank statements, we were able to qualify him for a $275,000 loan, which was more than a $300,000 house after the down payment. So he was able to move into that home with his family and move up from the rental that he'd been staying in for 5 years. So how's the income calculated? If it's personal bank statements, we're just going to take an average of whatever the deposits are into the bank statement. So the question we get a lot of times is, what is the rate on this? Is it 15%? Well, no, it's not 15%. We don't like 15%. Nobody likes 15% mortgages, but it's reasonable. It's a reasonable rate, right? If the potential self-employed buyer matches up. They got to have the down payment, they got to have a decent credit score, and they can't have a high debt to income ratio as far as astronomically high. These are all things that affect the rate. But really we should look at it kind of like, because the way lenders and everybody looks at rate is it's risk, right? How risky is this loan? If it's a little more risky, then they're going to have a higher rate, right? But maybe we should look at it from the buyer side. What is the reward? Is the reward worth the rate, right? So let's look at just a comparison real quick. We're going to compare a bank statement program at 10% down with a conventional at 10% down, okay? With somebody that's got, a 740 plus FICO score, okay? The rate for the bank statement, 6.49% over 30 years fixed. It's going to be about $2,270 a month compared to conventional that has the MI. You're going to be at $2,045 a month. So what? $200 plus, a little more than $200 difference. To a lot of people, that $200 is totally worth it. That $200 more because they're able to get into a home, right? Instead of being stuck in a rental that doesn't suit them. So let's take a look at the difference between a subprime mortgage and a non-QM mortgage, which was what this bank statement program is a non-QM, non-qualifying mortgage, which basically it just doesn't fit into the guidelines of Fannie or Freddie or USDA or anything. It's a private lender that's lending this money. Okay, so in 2006, we had an average credit score of 580. Now in 2018, with these, 680, 0% down before. Now there is a down payment requirement, which helps to make it so that it's less risky for the person lending the money. Proof of income, you had to have just a pulse before. Now you're having to prove your income. And then the oversight and regulation, before there was hardly any. With this, we are held to the same standards as a traditional mortgage. Same federal and state laws apply to us. We have a closing disclosure. We have an LE. All the fees are disclosed, so the buyer is fully aware. So let's talk about these niches. Let's say, if you have a buyer where you're only able to use what's on their tax returns, they might qualify for a $1,200 mortgage, which is like $150,000 house, right? Or maybe more. I don't know, 200,000. That's not what they need, right? But using the bank statements, we're able to show, their true income. Now they qualify for $5,000 a month in a mortgage, which can buy them what they need. So it's awesome. Then let's talk about a second niche, reluctant sellers, right? They don't want to sell because they know they're self-employed and they've had a banker tell them, you know what, you don't qualify. You can't move up because you're writing off too much, and so they just stay. But the problem is it's been 10 years since they bought their house, right? And their family's grown. That 3-bedroom, 2-bath house is not going to work with their 5 kids, or whatever the scenario is. They want to move up, right? And if they knew that they would just have to pay just a little more potentially on a mortgage, but that could get them the house they wanted, that would be huge for them. And then a third niche is, with this particular program, we're able to be a lot more flexible when it comes to waiting periods, where conventional, jumbo, USDA, VA, FHA, those are the guidelines, right? A jumbo loan, you're going to be 7 years. That's a long time, especially if what happened was 5 years ago and it's totally resolved. Divorces, job loss, things like that. People can reestablish themselves. And we're with the flexible waiting periods. What it basically means is that, if they had a foreclosure 2 years ago, it might add a little bit to the interest rate because it's just a little more risky, right? It just depends on the scenario. But the point here is that it's a lot more flexible. So if they feel like the rate is worth the reward, then it's a good choice for them, right? So our goal is not to replace the current lender that you have. It's just to give you one more option for those, those buyers that don't fit into the traditional mortgages. We want to transform more renters into buyers, and there's a lot out there. The statistics, 259,000 small businesses, according to what I've read on a few different studies in Utah. And every one of them has a small business, a self-employed owner, right, that's probably maximizing their tax write-offs, right? And there might be quite a few of them that this program could really help. So, you probably got a call from me or Julie or Ashley. We're all loan officers here at Village Mortgage that can definitely answer your questions about this. And give us a call, 801-627-8888, or you can send us an email. Just reply to the one that we sent you. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day.